everyone along tonight to the Stanley Town Council meeting. I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. First item on the agenda tonight is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Councillors Bell, Kane, Joyce Clark and Christie.
Next item is declarations of interest. Anyone got any declarations of interest for anything on the agenda? No. The next thing we move on to is the Mayor's announcements. During this month, Alex and myself have been to Brandon Civic Charity Evening, and that was held by the Mayor, and that was for St Cuthbert's Hospice.
Could I just remind members and the present please to set your phones to silent or switch them off so they're not interrupted. The meeting is being recorded. Is anyone else recording the meeting? No? Could I just remind members also please to raise their hands when they wish to speak and wait till they're recognised by the chair before speaking, and please stand when speaking. Thank you.
Next item is the leader's statement.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I would start off with the parish meeting. I was delighted that so many people were there. It was a very successful meeting, and I don't think there's ever been one in the history of this council where there was as many people that was packed. And at that meeting I referred to the council having the medium-term plan in place to establish a successful and financial stable council, and how we went about developing it. Talked about the environmental caretakers being back in house and how we employed Stanley's own neighbourhood police wardens. Also told them about the community activities that have been provided by the council, the play in the park, fun for all the families, the ever popular firework display, Armed Forces Day, World War I commemoration, the Blooming Good Fun, Christmas lights and the Christmas Carol service. I talked about the funding project just very lightly because other people were there to explain what had happened there. But as I said, the council had taken a very brave step because we are the first time developing a long-term plan on grant funding, which will allow funding of costs for organisations such as cricket clubs, football clubs and village halls in a straightforward, non-bureaucratic way. The council is committed to ensuring that funding is available year on year for voluntary organisations who contribute so much to the success of Stanley. To achieve this, Stanley Fund has been set up with several people providing money for the project, including our MP, Kevin Jones, the Police and Crime Commissioner, Ron Hogg, Durham County's local strategic partnership in this council. And the people that were providing the administration for that did an excellent report at the meeting. And we intend to continue to help those in our community who are caught up in the austerity financial difficulties by funding advice services, packed house just for women, shared, bring together all identified providers in our area to avoid duplication. Said the council continues to look after our heritage and went through a number of items that we're doing on that front. I also announced that we are committed to becoming a quality council, a quality status council in 2 years. That was what was being agreed here and the public needed to know. As you have seen on our Facebook page, if you follow it, the timetable of the ever popular play in the park fence has been announced. Work has started on Blooming Good Fun. Details available on the Facebook page on that as well. As I announced, it is intended to offer risk management training to councillors and staff. I hope that many of us as possible will attend. Dates will be announced soon. Now that's carry on from the last time in my report. So that will be happening, and I hope everyone will be able to attend because it's important and it will form part of
next item is public participation. Have we had any?
I think we received your rights issue.
And next item is the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting. Can someone approve them as a true record?
I would move the ordinary council minutes.
I'll second that.
Can those be agreed?
Agreed.
Just the next item is the committee minutes. The council received the minutes of the Finance and General Purpose Committee held on the 13th of March.
Can I also move those minutes as a true record?
Happy to receive those minutes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And the next thing on the agenda is the Road Safety Advisor.
Thank you, Chairman. There is a brief report which has been circulated with us in advance of the meeting in respect to this issue. It's one which has been around the world. Obviously, we have Sergeant Clark and Inspector Stewart who have come to speak to Council about this item. I don't know if you've decided if you're going to say a few words.
Well, it was just for us to pop along. There was nothing on the telly, normally kid. You've got the report. We're just here to answer any questions that you might have or any concerns, because I think we appreciate that the original vision has had to change somewhat throughout the period of researching this, and it evolved and all the hard work that Dave's done. So it's just to see whether this particular project continues to get approval and any questions that we can answer in relation to that.
Councillor Marshall, is it you?
Yes. Question. We as councillors looked at this over a period of time and decided where we would like the visors, and there's a political element to that as well as anything else. And when it went to the Road Safety Committee, they've only come back with 2 items, 2 places. Now, when we were looking at funding of the visors, we thought that we would have some say in where the visor poles would go in our areas, so we all got a chance to put something in. Now we're being denied that apart from 2 areas. I would suggest that we need to go away with this again, revisit it, because I'm not sure whether if we would want to pay all this money just for 2 areas to have it. I can think of a number of areas where they've been before and they've been successful. I know that Anfield Plain and places like that have problems with traffic going through them. I know Southmore does, I know Bradhead does, and we feel politically that they could be put into areas where we feel they're needed. Now, the way it stands, there's only 2 areas, and I'm not too happy with that. I think the poles can go in more areas than what they've been suggested, and would like you to go away and consider that, and we can give some direction to that if you wanted. So that's where I stand at the moment.
Sergeant Clark?
Yeah, I appreciate that it wasn't the vision of, it wasn't my vision and it wasn't what was discussed to have it in 2 areas. It was certainly never, there was certainly no political connotations about where we were putting speed visors, where they would protect the most people and people would stay the most, would save the most lives. Now, we looked at 8 areas spread across Stanley. One of those, I think somebody's mentioned, Barker's Close Lane. The other end of it isn't in the Stanley Town Council area. However, these are the 8 main complaint areas that we had as an organisation from PAC meetings, and we listened to people at our PAC meetings of where the complaints are, and these 8 areas came back. When we initially started the project, we had to put it together reasonably quickly despite the amount of time. I know people have concerns about the amount of time some projects take within the police, but as you can see from the email trail, it's been going backwards and forwards between traffic management for months and months and months. I can't help that. The main issue is that Durham County Council won't allow us to place this visor on their lampposts and telegraph poles. They cite, Durham County Council cite that it's because one in a neighbouring area fell over and killed somebody. Now, if you go to any other area, you go to Cleveland and on all the lampposts, and we thought this was a fantastic idea. So Councillor McMahon said, in my area we've got a speed problem, we can put this visor up on a lamppost. If the batteries would last a week, 2 weeks, if we've got the double batteries, and they would provide not only a visible nudge, it's a theory we're using to stop people speeding, but also record that speed and find out whether there is an issue, and it would it would act as a supplement to our speed, our community speed watch. Now, I would like to have thought that we could do this, but at the minute we can't, because we're hitting opposition from Durham County Council Traffic Management, who will not change their mind at the minute. The compromise we came up for was in a meeting with the AFP, bearing in mind that only half this money is coming from Stanley Town Council, half's coming from the Area Action Partnership, and we had the meeting to decide the funding needs spent now. It's been going on for a long time. Like I say, this was an idea that came up from a subcommittee that I was party, James was party, and there was 2 councillors also part of the working party, and this is what came up, and we thrashed a lot of ideas about, all of which we're told we couldn't have. And we're told we couldn't have them from the Durham Constabulary Traffic Management Department, and Maxine's one of the most knowledgeable people I know I've ever come across, who knows all about traffic management. And it's not just from driving past and I've seen one here, so I've seen one there. There are all sorts of different stipulations about where they can go and where they can't go. Now, we got to the stage where we got told we can't have one in such and such an area because this is already in place. We can't put one on Park Road, but we want one because we need to put separate poles in at £600 each. So we then had a choice: do we lose this money and ditch the project completely, because we'd also lose the 3,000 whatever AAP money, or do we go ahead with 2 areas that we could afford the poles for on the initial project scope and put them up in these 2 key areas, and then we would use your powers of persuasion towards Durham County Council, say, why is Durham County Council the only county council who will not allow this wind-tested windage project, these visors which are being tested and they're safe and they're used all over the country, why can't they be used on yours? And I would hope that you could use the Stanley Town Council political persuasion to push this forward, because either we'll put them on 2 sets of posts, or the project goes, and it'll go this week. So that's what you're making the decision. Do you want to potentially stabilise in 2 areas, or do you want to ditch the project completely? That's the choice you're making tonight. And then my hope would be that they go up in the 2 areas, and then we can start using them in other areas. So, sorry.
Sorry.
Do
Sorry.
you
So
want
I'll
to
just
contribute?
I'll just finish what I'm saying there.
Sorry.
If that's okay, Chair. So that's the choice we've got, and hopefully they will see the light and be able to persuade them, because they may be persuadable. There may be other furniture such as telegraph poles. We can't use anything with them. And if you speak to the town clerk, you'll find issues with poles with electrical supplies. Maybe we'll be able to use telegraph poles or poles by other providers other than the Durham County Council to do this project. But at the minute, that's the choice. We're going to either keep it going or it's gone. Now, the 2 areas we picked out of those, 3 areas have we got? 3 areas were out of the original 8 because they were packed priorities, and they were the only ones that we could use. There was nothing to do with any sort of political destination. It was due to the fact that Park Road we couldn't use because we couldn't physically block the pavement with a device. You had areas like, we wanted East Stanley, but they said we couldn't have East Stanley because of the fact it was already a van that goes along there, which is classed as a higher level of incursion than they're slightly bigger, and it would skew the figures. There's all sorts of things that these traffic management people do that stop us doing other than two areas. And those two areas are Tanfield, where the previous Speedwatch volunteers did a lot of work in the area and proved there's a massive speeding problem in Tanfield, along past the paddock. And this was seen as a good one. And also along New Cayo, which there's been complaints about crashes in the area due to excess speed. And that's why we chose those areas, the same as Parks Close, because the infrastructure is easily deployable in those areas. So the problem we've now got, and Alan's are correct, that if we don't spend the money now, then the money will go. And
But the position with our part of the money is that it's an earmarked reserve, and it's obviously council's decision what happens with it. I can't speak for the AAP money. I don't know if that has to be spent within the financial year or not. I'm looking at Jeanette because Jeanette was as a former chair of the AAP. Do you know?
I'm not sure, but I'm guessing if you've been told that, that must be,
Yeah.
it must be the AAP's issue.
Carl?
There's all sorts of questions I could ask about that. How many lives we want to see by these two cameras and all sorts of things. But I think that's a bit of motive. I think what I'd like to do, because there's a lot of things that in life with the county council that don't necessarily make sense to people like you on the ground. We've been through there a few times arguing the toss about CCTV cameras and all sorts of things. So I'd like to get involved as a cabinet member of the county council with this, because highways sits under my portfolio, and I've never been made aware of some of these issues. I haven't even been made aware of some of these speed changes, which are not far from where I live, but again, unfault to me to sign off as a cabinet member. So I'd like an opportunity to have a look at this broader scheme. I don't agree with the very bottom of the report, Alan, where it's got citing the only solution. There's always more than one solution for a problem. So I'd like to have a chance to have a look at all of these and have a look at what the issues are with the risk assessments that the county council's done on the infrastructure, and see how we can overcome that, because it just seems like such a small issue that it shouldn't take a lot to try and free up that blockage. But I don't think we should do this piecemeal either. I understand what you're saying, but I think that if there's a commitment from the town council, which I think nobody's sitting here saying there's not a commitment from us as a group to fund this or to withdraw the money from this area, I'd like a chance to basically try and free everything up for the whole of this scheme, so have an impact right across the town council area, as long as it doesn't jeopardise the other money, which, you know, I've known AAP money being rolled on year, so I'm not sure on the actual legalities of this, but I'm happy to get involved in, have a chat to see if we can sort something out.
Mark?
Thanks, Chair. Just wanted to come in on a couple of things. I think that when David mentioned political, perhaps he was... Oh yeah, when David mentioned political, I think what he meant was that the residents who were in Barker's Close Lane aren't actually in the Stanley Town Council area, so there are political boundaries there. So the people who are going to benefit from it aren't in our area, so that's probably, I think that's what he meant for that. The other thing was that the locations that you put forward are PAT meetings. We don't have a PAT meeting in Craighead. I don't know if anybody else doesn't have one, but that sort of means that we've been disadvantaged here because we haven't put anything forward because it's not a PAT, it can't be a PAT priority for our area.
the Craighead and South's going to be a joint pack meeting.
Anybody from Craighead's going to go into South Stanley, and we both know that. Cheers.
Anybody else?
Can I just make it quite clear, when I was talking about politics, I wasn't suggesting this committee or the police were involved with politics. What I was meaning was that the councillors here politically have an idea of why they need it in certain areas. So it was nothing, I'm not suggesting it, and it wouldn't be. I fully appreciate the outside politics. But we as politicians have a feeling and know what the residents are saying and what the residents have asked us for, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
My question is, are we talking about lampposts, or are we talking about the poles that the county council own, where their visors already go?
No, there would be lampposts there. All the poles that the county council already own have a rotating, such as Harlow's got one on a rotating basis. They already go on a rotating basis. We probably wouldn't use those existing poles because they are part of the speeding, the way they're addressing speeding in that area already, and the statistics around that would want the fresh areas. And that's one of the reasons why when we went for the Harlow we couldn't, because after that we went for that one, another one went up anyway, so it was pointless putting a second one up in the Harlow area.
And the Shield Road one, the one that's on Shield Road, actually belongs to the town council. Although the county council maintain it, Tom Patterson paid for that.
Out of his own money.
Out of
That's nice.
we had a budget which was like your £3,500, but then there was an area budget.
So the council paid for
Yeah,
it?
the council paid, but it was on Tom's ward.
It was council money.
Yeah, it was Tom's area.
Anyone else to come in? No? Does anyone make a proposal then?
Can I suggest that we take up the suggestion that Carl's made there, that he goes away and talks to the officers of the county and see what can be developed, because the way it's going now, we would be forced into saying, no, we're not going to fund it. We don't want to do that. We want to fund it, we want to go ahead with it, and perhaps we can talk to the AAP as well and see what can be done about that funding, see how it can be that resolved. So if it can be raised in the county and talked about and come back, then I would suggest that that's what we do.
I'll second that.
Everybody agree?
Yeah? Yes.
The motion is to defer a decision until Councillor Marsh has an opportunity to take up at county level. I'll speak to Daniel at the AAP and just find out quickly, because we're getting near the end of the year, if his money can be put into a reserve and held on to. Hopefully it will be, because I know that members have said that there is examples of AAP money being held over, and then we can perhaps...
Do you want me to come in on that?
Yeah.
Just from personal experience, me and Carol's trying to do a project with Craig and Brothertold. They're getting some renewable energy heating, and we've had money there since the back end of 2016 or 2017. It's earmarked for that project,
Right.
but we obviously haven't spent it yet because I'm still working on it. But so we've got money in. We've had it there 2.5 years, so I would expect that they will be able to do the same, and if not, they should be able to give us a good reason why not.
So is that motion agreed? That's what people nod their heads, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay, thanks very much for coming along, guys.
thank you.
On to catch up with you after.
Right.
You can stay for the rest of the meeting if you want.
Get everyone there.
Right, we move on to item 9, which is the Louisa Memorial.
Thank you, Chair. This has come back onto the agenda as it says on the agenda itself, because I received a question from Councillor Bell and also Councillor from the public about this issue with the replica of the Mines Memorial. So I brought it back to Council in order that the decision can be reviewed and that officers can be given instructions on what to do next.
Any questions? Anybody got anything you want to say about it? Jeanette?
I know on the papers it's saying that there is no budget set aside for this.
There's no specific budget.
No specific budget.
We do have obviously earmarked reserves.
Yeah.
We do have a general heritage budget,
Yeah.
but but there's no, we didn't set a specific budget against this.
So I'm just wondering whether it might be sensible to look at something like some sort of board or something like that that can be put in the park, that can celebrate the heritage and the actual memorial itself, rather than a replica stone.
I'll second that.
Is that a proposal?
Oh, no, I thought there was going to be a discussion. So if there is no discussion, if nobody else wants to say anything.
Well,
And Bala seconded it. Has anybody got anything they want to say? No? Right.
Just to maybe look at, you know, getting Jack Hare involved and, you know, having something that can be something commemorative at Anfield Plain about the rescue and the people who lost their lives and all of that sort of thing.
like an interpretation.
Yes, an interpretation board.
Yeah.
About the disaster there, so that we've got two separate types of memorial for the same thing basically, and neither of them are detracting away from one another.
So the motion from Councillor Stevenson is to commission an interpretation board to place it under the Plain Park. So,
That was the original site for the, you know, that we discussed when we replica.
Bala is seconding the motion.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
No?
Those in agreement? Those against?
Motion is carried.
Is there any abstentions there? Right, we move on to item number 10, the policy working group.
Thank you, Chairman. You can see there's a lot of policy documents attached for consideration by the Council. This goes back to the original scoping meeting of the policy working group, where a number of policies which were either not fit for purpose or were missing in the framework were identified by the group. Council agreed with the recommendation of the policy working group to mirror the Durham County Council policy framework as we use their HR services, and we've actually been basing our sort of structure in terms of job descriptions and pay to grade on their structure for simplicity. So we obtained copies of the Durham County Council policies, all of those ones which are attached for consideration, the relevant policies, transposed them onto our own paperwork. They were checked by myself and by Alan Halloran, and then we convened a meeting where members of the policy working group also went through and had a look at them, and the papers were circulated to the remainder of the group by email. The proposal is that we consider the policies which have been presented, approve them, subject to changes, to note the minutes of the working group and decide if any other action is required. That's the recommendation.
Can I just clarify, when it says in the sick absence policy, the occupational health service, is that covered under the SLA with the DCC HR advisor?
We have access to their occupational health service through the SLA.
Yes? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go on. Sorry, just a second. Can you clarify, do you know when it says in the policy that you can take annual leave whilst on sick, and does the sick one in conjunction with the annual leave, or?
What that means is if you're long-term sick, so for example, if I was written off for 6 months, you are permitted to book a holiday within that period. Because so essentially, if a member of staff was off sick, they could actually book a holiday and go on holiday for a week.
Yeah.
Obviously with appropriate approval and consent. Was that what you were going to say? Oh.
Les?
Basically, as chair of that committee, we looked at all these, we had terms of reference in the original meeting where it didn't have to, all members had to be present. all emails could be partaken in if there was any problems, and they would circulate that to the other members who weren't present for comment if they had any comments. We went through them. Because of the SLA, I think was the right decision to use DCC policies, because it's easier for, if we need HR advice, they've got the policies. Yes, we've adapted them fit for purpose for us, but going forward it's an easier way, and these are proven fit for purpose, and I think these should be put, you know, straight through. Thank you very much.
Was that a motion, Liz?
Yeah, that's, I suppose that. My own words.
I'll second that.
Everybody in agreement? Oh, sorry.
Can I just make a point there? It is slightly political, but obviously when I came onto the town council over a year and a half ago now, I don't know why, maybe naively, I presumed that a council of this size that had been in operation for 8 years would have had some of these policies that were fit for purpose and in place. And obviously I just want to make the point for the minutes that I'm very pleased these policies, some of which are new policies that the council haven't had, are being introduced, because as part of the governance arrangement for any organisation of this size, it's important that you've got these things so your operation can run legally, but also morally as well. So I'm pleased that they've come forward, but I am slightly alarmed at the fact that it hasn't, that they weren't in place before now.
Thanks, Chair. I asked the police a question they couldn't answer. Hopefully I will ask what Alan one that he can. If we agree to, agree the policies tonight, when would we plan to bring them in? Do we need to consult with anybody else, or can we just say from the 1st of April we'll bring them in?
Yep, that's a good question, Mark. Basically, these policies are either gaps, complete gaps, or replacements for old policies. None of them require contractual changes, which is the key thing. So the staff don't need to have their contracts amended for these policies to be adopted. Once council has made, if council, makes the decision to adopt these policies, then clearly staff will be notified and consulted, but I see no reason why we couldn't have them in place from the 1st of April.
Right, we'll put it to a vote. Those in favour to accept these policies? Anyone against?
Can I just make one point on those? I could just, it's the one I raised before on flexi-time policy. Doesn't actually specify who's affected by that flexi-time in the policy. There's no names in it, is there?
There is no, the flex, can I respond?
Sorry.
By all means.
The flexi policy isn't one of these that has been approved to be in front of you tonight. We deferred that because it affected so, we decided it was affecting so small of a group that it wasn't worth creating, because there is in place the toil system and overtime system, so we didn't think we needed a flexi policy because toil was already in place. If anybody doesn't know what toil stands for, it's time off in lieu.
The position with the policy group is that they deferred the flexi-time policy on the basis of the comments from the Finance Committee. So that policy has been deferred.
Fine, thank you.
Next is item 11, the events working group.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have anything massive to say. These notes are provided for information for members. Play in the Park is progressing well. Minor Sunday is progressing well. Obviously, members will be aware, because we reported it, I think at the finance meeting, that we have some concerns about Armed Forces Day, because as yet we haven't secured Armed Forces equipment, but we are still chasing that. And we'll obviously keep members posted with any updates. And the events working group is meeting regularly every couple of weeks at the moment until we get these issues resolved. So it's, you know, it's something that's the priority now for the rest of the group. But the other events at this time are progressing well.
Any comments? Move on to item 12, the Civic Hall Working Group.
The Civic Hall Working Group met on the 19th of March. You have the notes of the meeting. I think, and I'm sure that one of the members of the group will speak about this, but I think the group is kind of realising that there's quite a lot of work for this group to look at. So they're trying to break it down into thematic chunks. So this last meeting, we invited Brindle from Creo Communications to come and present a plan of action which he prepared in respect of our marketing and communication strategy. And they decided to look at the physical condition of the building at a future meeting, which will be the next meeting that we have for that working group. And I think they're taking that sort of chunk approach where we have a focus meeting to look at one area at a time rather than trying to deal with all things in the same meeting, which is why the recommendations from the group that have been put forward to council relate just to the comms plan rather than other areas of the business. I don't know if one of the other members of the group wants to speak about the meeting.
Is there anyone? David?
Yeah, could I just say that it was pretty constructive what we got. For the first time, I got a sheet about each show that's going to be on. The staff had already developed that, although I'd done some work as a suggestion of what could be done. And Dave Preston came up with the same idea. It's taken 4 years to get there, but we got there. And the reports were excellent. The one about the Armstrong Theatre and the cinema, obviously we didn't want to load out there until we have a programme. What we agreed was that I'll go in and ask my members what did they think about time scales, what do we want to put on in the cinema, what's going to be the themes, that type of thing. I've done that. I don't know if Helen's done that from her point of view, but it would be useful to get some early feedback from members about what they want rather than this small subgroup just saying, right, we'll put this on, we'll put that on. We'll try and involve everybody. So short term, if you give us some feedback on what you're thinking is, do we want Wednesday night cinemas, do we want Saturday cinemas, do we want kids, do we want age, do we want the community groups, what else can be done? So if you go away and think about that and give us some feedback, it would be useful to the group to bring that in. And as Alan said, we need to do some work on the structure of the building and get that right and fit for purpose, including proper accommodation for the staff and perhaps a revamp of the front. But that's coming at the next meeting. We decided it would be drawn separately from the events. So we'll be getting regular updates. Now those spreadsheets the individual sheets won't be coming to council. You'll get to know whether events are on target, under target, whether we're making big losses, little losses. You need that kind of information, but you don't need the detail. And we wouldn't want to discuss the detail in public anyway, because it's sensitive to the running of the operation. So cinema got to be the next one. If we get some stuff and do a big bang and get Creo involved, get it in the press, decide what we want and do it, because the public asking on Facebook what's happening and asking how we want to have something on in the summer holidays, in particular for children. So you have a think, see what you've got, and come back to us. It'll be useful.
Thank you, Jude. Anybody else? No? Right. We move on to item 13.
Sorry, Chair, we're not moving to item 13. Could members be asked questions that are in item 12? The recommendations which are attached as attachment M from Creo Communications were about developing the plan, and you can see that what's been provided is a list of actions. So basically, it's to produce
2 brochures. Now, we previously as a council decided that it would be advantageous to produce a wedding brochure. That was a decision that was taken a couple of months ago. But we're looking at 2 brochures. One to advertise a wedding business. The second one, which would be a simple Z-fold type stand-up leaflet, the sort that, you know, that Hanford Railway and other people produce, that can be put into community centres and, you know, and various locations throughout the parish, to advertise the other facilities that we have here, which would include the cinema, but would be about corporate bookings, training, parties, those kind of meetings, etc. By producing those 2 documents, what you would produce, you would also, as a byproduct of that, produce all the collateral that you would need then to develop a website, so that anyone searching for a venue to hire in the area will see our website with all of the properly designed collateral that we would put into that. So pictures of all the rooms, what the capacities are, what the fees are, what the charges are. Grim was even talking about being able to construct like an online price guide. So you put all of our price guides in, and you say, right, I want this room for 2 hours at that rate, but then it tells you how much it's going to cost. And then you can email your inquiry straight from the website. So, you know, I think that the product that we would get out of this would actually be, you know, the physical product, i.e. the hard copy leaflets and brochures that we can use for mail outs to put out into the community to produce advertising posters with. But we'd also get that digital content because it can be reused, so we can build a proper website. We could use that in social media snippets. You know, it would help to build the brand. So the proposal that is in front of you is what's contained in attachment M, is to develop the brochure to market weddings, which we already agreed, because it's sort of putting more flesh on that, to develop a leaflet to publicise the hall, and use that design collateral to develop a new website for the city hall, because at the moment all we've got is a ticketing website, because our old website broke and was never rebuilt. And hopefully then we can actually, you know, be positioned properly in the marketplace, so that someone goes onto Google and is looking for a room to hire for a function at Stanley, and bang, we're going to come up first, and they're going to be able to see clearly what they're getting for their money and what the prices are, and be able to register a lead there and then.
The only other comment I would make is that we've got to remember that the theatre is Alan Armstrong Theatre. He's given us his name on that, so we need to get them in there. His name needs to be on there when we're talking about theatre things and shows and that type of thing. But the Civic Hall is a separate entity, as you quite rightly said.
Yeah, I move we accept the recommendations as outlined.
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you. Everybody agree? Yeah. Thank you. Now we'll do it. Council action.
So the usual updated report has been provided for members. Obviously, there's a couple of actions that only went on for the last council meeting. We've the CDCF Stanley Fund is being worked on. The JD for the Finance Office has been prepared and will go to the Finance Committee in April. The Southmore Miners banner is not due yet, but it's a project that will start working on in the near future. The grant policy, the strategic grant policy has been adopted, and basically, I don't want to do everything at once. Members, if anyone's looked at our website, you'll see that we put on the Blooming Good Fund stuff yesterday, we put on the Paying the Park dates today. I don't want to put everything on the same day, so we'll actually put the stuff on our strategic grant fund sort of towards the end of the week. And obviously, the Finance Committee will decide which members of council are going to sit on that panel that we convene internally for that, and also which members of council will be put forward for the larger fund. That will come onto April's finance meeting as well for decision. The Matthew Kirtley Heritage Plaque, the plaque has been ordered and will be delivered in time, and we just need to appoint a contractor to build the wall. The meeting for corporate wedding materials that we just approved on December. Pantomime details and costings was a matter that was discussed at the Civic Hall working group. And I think there was a general agreement in that group that actually we probably left pantomime too late in this year already, because pantomime needs to be done a year in advance. I think it's something the group want to bring up for consideration much earlier next year. But the silver lining of that is that Dawn is able to take some bookings over that Christmas period anyway, because she's got people on the book for money-making events. And the last one is this War Memorial Working Group, which, as members will be aware, we brought a report about war memorials to the Finance Committee, and we got some feedback on that report, so Alan will be bringing that forward as part of that piece of work, so that will come in soon. And that's the only, that's all the outstanding actions, so unless members have got any questions.
Anyone got any questions, David?
So you want this? Oh, we've got one. Just a straightforward one. This is good. This is for this year, but a lot of these will be rolling into next year, and then there will be next year's objectives. Whether we want to get this year's sheet with an update of what's got to happen and who's looking after them for the coming year, the coming financial year. It's no good waiting till May. If we wait till May for the new sheet, some of the things will be happening next week. So we could do an update on this. Get the things out that's done. If we finish, get rid of them, and new ones in.
Was that a motion, Councillor Marshall?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
Right, okay.
Or a suggestion.
Councillor Marshall is suggesting that one's actions are completely removed from the list, and that we proactively put on actions that aren't results of council decisions, but things that flow out the medium-term plan. Is everyone happy for me to do that for next month? Yeah?
Yeah.
More questions?
Any more questions?
Yes, more questions.
Yes.
It's sort of attached to this, but obviously we have services that are provided on our behalf that we've agreed that we're going to deliver through the medium-term plan. And I was just wondering, when will we be getting reports back to this committee? This is where I think they should be coming, about the environmental services, etc., etc. So our officers coming and reporting about what's happened in a particular area, I think would be a good idea.
It'll happen next full council, I'll get them reports back. We have it tonight,
Anybody else?
Sorry, I just want to say that having all come to one full council meeting is not the way to go in this, Alan. I think what you need to do is to have a forward programme throughout the year for all of these major programmes to come back.
Yeah,
One of
absolutely.
the sites I would suggest, so maybe space them out, maybe it's nice to hear how the wardens or the caretakers are getting on, and have a more thorough report on the City Hall and programme it out over the year. We've spent a lot of time over the past 12 months shaping how we want the services to look, so we now need to monitor and review them as we go forward.
So that, I did make that clear, that was exactly what I didn't need everyone comes in charge of
You just said I'll get them on a report for the next meeting.
Well, I will do. I'm here to serve. Right. Is that agreed?
Well, is it? Everyone?
Councillor Marshall.
Yeah, sorry, you sit here and you think of things. I know what's happening with the police cars, but I think it would be useful for members to have an update on that.
Oh, yes.
That's what I haven't mentioned.
Obviously, those of you who were at the town meeting on Friday will have seen that there was a partnership badged vehicle parked outside, hot off the press. That vehicle obviously has been delivered, as you can see. It had to go back because it hadn't had the police radio fitted in it after the meeting. It will be delivered this week. The other vehicle, the second vehicle, which is going to be police liveried, that is apparently still in France. However, at no extra cost to us, members, I know that members have spotted because members have told me they've still seen it around. One of the old vehicles that we funded, which was apparently too old to stay on the road, has remained on the road at no additional cost to Stanley Town Council. The police fleet have borne the maintenance costs of it for the duration. So basically, it's a little bit of a silver lining because obviously when they take delivery of the new vehicles we funded, we'll get the full 3 years from when that's delivered that we paid for. And so we've actually got an extra year of that old police car for the same amount of money that we paid for the first 4 years. So at the end of this week, we will finally have our Wardens stroke partnership vehicle in service with a police radio, with the Wardens being able to access mess rooms, lockers and facilities at the police station, which is a good way to work together. And we are waiting delivery of the second vehicle, but the old vehicle remains in service until that comes, so the police have still got that vehicle that we're funding for that extra period of time. So that's the update.
Just for a good reason.
I was in touch with someone about the pantomime the week after we cancelled this one, and I put forward, and I spoke to Liam from Extravaganza, a professional producer who used to put shows on here, Time Theatre, and basically Liam, and this was talking about last year, Liam said, yeah, I can put a panto on, but you're going to need to invest money in it. And it was a question of, he was talking about, you know, a budget of £30,000, so that we could make £50,000, and he seemed very confident that he could. Maybe he can. I mean, you know, he is a professional, he does put things on the Time Theatre, he does work with Bill Kenner as his stage manager and go around the country. And I put that idea forward, and we obviously didn't set a budget that was going to allow £30,000 to be used for production costs in this financial year. So it's, you know, we do not have a budget to spend that kind of money on a pantomime in this financial year. So it's going to have to be something that's discussed in more detail and brought back. I mean, I could have got pantomime last year, but Liam wanted £30,000 that we didn't have, and so it didn't happen.
Throw it down.
Are there any more questions from members?
Right, last thing on the agenda is the date and time venue of next meeting, which is Tuesday the 23rd of April, 6:30 in the Civic Hall.